For generations, this was a name that meant strength, an American titan that defined the industrial age. But the foundations were beginning to shift. The market was saturated. Instead of looking forward, the leadership looked at the margins. Innovation took a backseat to a brutal price war. Local storefronts, once the lifeblood of the community, began to fade. The dust on the windows mirrored the corporate apathy growing in the boardroom. While engineers pleaded for modernization, executives focused on cost-cutting. They were winning the spreadsheet battle, but losing the future. Then came the day the music stopped. The heavy machinery, the heart of the city, was unbolted and prepared for its final journey. What was once a cathedral of industry became a hollow shell. The roar of production was replaced by a deafening, hollow silence. Jobs weren't just lost, they were relocated. Red lines on a map traced the movement of prosperity toward cheaper southern horizons. New factories rose in sterile landscapes, built for efficiency, but lacking the history and soul of the plants they replaced. The workers walked out for the last time, their heads bowed. The promise of a lifetime of labor had been broken in an afternoon. Yet, in the glass towers, the mood was different. Expansion was the goal. They were building a global empire on a crumbling foundation. As they celebrated growth, the old sites became monuments to decay. Nature began to reclaim what the corporation had abandoned. The numbers told a grim story. Thousands of livelihoods were reduced to a descending line on a digital chart. The unions fought back, but the leverage was gone. Tense meetings ended in cold stares and the finality of a no vote. By now, the debt was a mountain. The company was borrowing against a future it no longer knew how to build. Global shocks accelerated the inevitable. The pandemic and the downturn provided the perfect cover for the final collapse. The CEO took to the screens, speaking of necessary sacrifices. But the sacrifice was rarely shared by those at the top. Behind closed doors, they toasted to their own resilience. Retention bonuses were signed while the pension funds withered. The clock ran out. A missed payment triggered the end, turning a century of history into a legal proceeding. For the retirees, it was a betrayal of the highest order. The letter in the mail was a death sentence for their golden years. With one final stroke of the gavel, the giant was officially dead. Bankruptcy court became the graveyard of industrial ambition. The headquarters stand as a modern shell, a monument to a vision that prioritized the quarterly report over the human spirit. The factories that once fueled the nation are now up for sale or repurposed for storage, their glory days a distant memory. A final group of workers shared a hug. They weren't just losing a job, they were losing a community. The executives drove away in luxury, leaving behind the rust and the ruins of what they had helped destroy. From the peak of industrial power to the depths of corporate greed. This is the story of a giant that forgot its purpose. As the sun sets on this era, we are left to wonder, what happens to a nation when it stops making things and starts making excuses?